Hey, coming up on today's show, you know what we're talking about. It's contract season, and there's none bigger than Tua Tagovailoa's looming large. So are the Dolphins shelling out? And a question we all want the answer to, is Tua a franchise quarterback? We will discuss on Dolphins Today. But hey, first I got a challenge for you because the Patriots video yesterday got over 30 subs, and we can't let a divisional rival like the New England Patriots channel out-subscribe us. So if you haven't yet, subscribe to the channel. Let's continue to grow Dolphins Today. We can't let those annoying Patriot fans out-subscribe us. So tell a Dolphins fan about Dolphins Today if you've already subscribed. If you haven't yet subscribed, smash that sub button and let's get it going on Dolphins Today. Welcome in. I am your host, Jake Rietma, and anytime we have the Tua Tagovailoa conversation, I absolutely insist on beginning with a little historical perspective, and maybe you take this as me trying to sway your opinion one way or the other, because it seems like everybody has an opinion on Tua Tagovailoa, but let's just keep this in perspective for historical reasoning and every other reason why we should continue this conversation when talking about Tua Tagovailoa. But the Dolphins from 2009 to 2019 had one winning season. I'm not going to yell and scream and get all upset, but again, just some historical data for you. One winning season in the 11 years before Tua Tagovailoa, and since drafting Tua in 2020, that's right, 4 straight winning seasons. So just use that in the back of your mind when we continue with this Tua contract conversation, because that is the topic at hand. Tua is set to make $23.2 million this upcoming season on that 5th year of his rookie deal that the Dolphins exercised a year ago. But as we know, the Dolphins aren't exactly in the best salary cap situation. In fact, there's only one other team that has a worse projected salary cap hole than the Dolphins when the new league year starts in March. So restructuring, or I should say having a new deal, would allow the Dolphins to cut roughly about $10 million as far as the hit goes on the cap. And that would allow this Dolphins organization to perhaps franchise tag someone else, hint, hint, Christian Wilkins, as we move forward with these pressing Dolphins offseason questions. Now, what does Tua himself say about the contract extension? And a man of many words, when asked about this over the Pro Bowl weekend, he said, "I believe that will happen." So there you have it. How about a little bit more perspective? We go to the NFL insiders for that. Ian Rappaport had this on that episode of the NFL Insiders a couple of days ago, that indications are both sides would like to get a deal done quickly this offseason, so that's not a storyline that hangs over training camp or the regular season. With the salary cap continuing to rise, Tagovailoa now has a strong case. Let me repeat that. Tagovailoa now has a strong case to push for a contract at or above Joe Burrow's top of the market, $55 million per season. So how about that, sports fans? Ian Rappaport saying Tua has a strong case to push for $55 million. That's a hell of a bag, so I need you to be honest with me. Is Tua worth the $55 million price tag? Real simple, type Y for yes if he is worth that, type N for no. Now again, some perspective here. The salary cap continues to rise, and such is the way in everything in life. I mean everything. The price just keeps going up and up and up, and I won't go off on that tangent, don't worry. But you get the point here that Tua is set to be that next quarterback that gets the max deal, and so by all indications, you would expect him to come in around that $55 million mark. Now, he has good reason for that, because as we've talked about many, many times, Tua had a heck of a season, a career year. He played all 17 games. That was a big question mark with his durability. He proved that he could do that. He led the NFL in passing yards. He was second in pass yards attempts, yards per attempt, I should say. And also very, very highly ranked in completion percentage at third at 69.3, and had the 5th most passing touchdowns at 29. Overall quarterback rating, 101.1. That was good enough for third among qualifying quarterbacks. So the statistical data is there to support his case for that max deal, like Ian Rappaport is suggesting. Now, you can look back to that 2020 quarterback class from the first-round picks. You got Joe Burrow, who Ian Rappaport referenced with the max deal, the highest-paid quarterback. You got Justin Herbert, who also landed a new deal in 2023. Meanwhile, Tua had his fifth-year option picked up, played all 17 games, led the NFL in passing yards. So, in my mind, I believe this contract extension is coming, as does a lot of people around this situation. So you don't want to miss out, because if and when the Dolphins do extend Tua Tagovailoa, we're going to tell you all about it. We're going to make a video about it, and that is why you subscribe to Dolphins Today. Now, I think it's also important to gauge what the boss had to say. After all, Grier is the one that signs the contracts and makes the final decision. And here's what Grier, the general manager, had to say. We've stayed in touch with his agent, had good conversations throughout the year. The goal is to have him here long term. So that's another reason why I believe this is getting done. Like it, love it, hate it, somewhere in the middle. When the boss says the goal is to have Tua here long term, obviously, Tua's camp wants the max deal. We all expect it to be happening, and therefore, I believe, as does it appears Grier, that Tua is the guy to lead the Miami Dolphins. Now, coming up, we're going to talk even more about why Tua is the guy, but first, I want to tell you about today's sponsor, and write this down. Get out a pen and paper, because what I have to tell you is going to change your life. The Game Time app, when buying tickets to live events, makes the process seamless and incredibly convenient while specializing in last-minute ticket deals with the lowest price guaranteed. So how about that? You download the Game Time app, use promo code FINSCHAT for $20 off, and you can unlock a world of opportunities to go to any single live event you could ever think of. Concerts, comedy shows, football, basketball, baseball, hockey, the list goes on. Whatever it is, download the Game Time app. Terms do apply. Use that promo code FINSCHAT for $20 off and get to going. Maybe you forgot some kind of important present for a significant other or something or another. Use the Game Time app to buy some tickets to a live event. You won't regret it. And oh, by the way, Game Time specializes in last-minute ticket deals with the lowest price guaranteed. They take the stress out of buying tickets. So download the Game Time app, use that promo code FINSCHAT, and receive $20 off. And don't worry, we love you and we care about you. That link's in the comments and description of today's video. Download the Game Time app and use promo code FINSCHAT. The way I see this, there's only one way forward. And maybe you could accuse me of having tunnel vision a little bit when it comes to Tua Tagovailoa. But let's not forget the important decision makers here that also happen to be Tua Tagovailoa's biggest fans. That's right. When I think of Tua Tagovailoa's biggest fans, it boils down to who's going to be the most important person making these decisions. And when you have Mike McDaniel, Chris Grier, Ryan Williams, and Austin Lyman, two of Tua's agents, all in favor of making this big deal happen, you got to believe that it is in the works and going to happen sooner or later. Now, it also is important to note that Tua joined an organization called Athletes First back in February of 2023 and changed agents and is now represented by Ryan Williams and Austin Lyman, who also represent some other players for the Miami Dolphins. So there's a level of continuity there. There's a level of familiarity between the Dolphins front office and Tua's agents because they also represent Robert Hunt, Raekwon Davis, and River Craycraft. So again, not that that's needed in order to get the deal done, but it's just all signs pointing to a max deal coming and it coming soon so that it's not a storyline looming over the Miami Dolphins organization as a whole, like we mentioned earlier in the video. So, you probably know where I stand on this, but I want to know where you stand. What's your confidence level that Tua's deal will get done this offseason, sooner rather than later? Because I'm at about a 10, but let me know what you think down in the comments. Scale it for me, 1 through 10. Your confidence level that a deal gets done and Tua gets a max contract and will be with the Miami Dolphins for the foreseeable future. Because like I said, I'm at a 10. This is happening. I can basically put it in ink. All indications are there, And again, you talk to Chris Grier, you listen to Mike McDaniel, you got both of Tua's agents in on it. Everybody sees the writing on the wall when it comes to the future of the Miami Dolphins being led by number one, Tua Tagovailoa. So if you need more proof to it, how about one of the all-time greats, Jimmy Johnson, who mentioned this the other day, talking about Tua Tagovailoa, saying, quote, winning quarterbacks are extremely hard to find. I think you give Tua a contract and you say, he's my franchise QB, and you build around him. I don't think there's any questions about that. Now, Jimmy Johnson, of course, didn't coach for the Cowboys, but before that, obviously coached for the Miami Hurricanes, so has some familiarity with Miami and knows ball. So anytime Jimmy Johnson says he's your future quarterback, he's your franchise quarterback, you work around him, I'm inclined to agree with him. And again, I'm just adding ammunition to the pro Tua camp because let's face it, we live in reality. That's where this organization is. And if you want some more, how about Hall of Fame quarterback Kurt Warner, who had these glowing remarks on Tua Tagovailoa, saying Tua anticipates better than anyone and is extremely accurate with the football. Few people in the league would thrive doing what they asked Tua to do in Miami. And just in case you needed one more reminder, by the way, Tua led the NFL in passing yards, was second in yards per attempt, fifth most touchdowns, third best completion percentage, and the third best overall quarterback rating. So I get it, Rima, stop throwing everything at us. We get it. He couldn't win the big game. That will change in 2024. Of that, I'm confident about. So we asked the big question, because that's what we do on Dolphins Today, is Tua a franchise quarterback? Type F for franchise. Or if you think he's mid, which I read the comments. I know a lot of people do not believe in Tua and think he's mid. Type M for mid, F for franchise quarterback. And if you ask me, Tua represents what a franchise quarterback should be. He's the leader of the team. And I know, listen, longest postseason winless streak in the NFL. They haven't won a playoff game since 2000. Not great. In fact, kind of embarrassing. Tua's going to change that. Not to worry. But let's also not forget it's a team game. It takes the defense. It takes the offense. It takes the special teams. And Tua possesses the wherewithal, the abilities both on the field and from a leadership perspective, the arm strength, everything needed to be a successful quarterback in the NFL. We've seen enough of a sample size from Tua Tagovailoa that I am ready to sign the check. Easy for me to say. It's Mr. Ross's money, not mine. But I'm ready to invest in Tua Tagovailoa. He's the man for the job. We'll get it done in 2024. And this Dolphins franchise is in a better state with him at the helm leading this team with Mike McDaniel as the head coach, the continuity with the offensive coordinator Frank Smith, and a new wave on the defensive side with Anthony Weaver. I feel pretty good about the Miami Dolphins. And you know who I feel better about than the Miami Dolphins? It's Dolphins Today and our ability to outsubscribe the Patriots channel here at Chat Sports because they did a whale of a job the other day and gained 30 subscribers yesterday. Can we top it? Make sure we subscribe to Dolphins Today if you haven't yet already. And we'll make it happen on Dolphins Today. Shout out to Jack Lauderay and the ones and twos, always keeping us on the air. Much appreciated. And hey, thanks for tuning in. We'll see you next time on Dolphins Today.